Dr. Tayal, I'll start with you. The fact that 8 votes are cancelled, अगर आप सिर्फ numerical strength देखें, the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress, even counting for the Akali cross voting, have more votes. So how has the BJP won? Just by pure arithmetic, even if none of us had seen the video, how has the BJP won?
No, so that is, I think, quite simple. I think Nadda ji has already said that in the case of the India alliance, neither their arithmetic nor their chemistry is working. So when the chemistry didn't work, the maths didn't work. So I'll tell you now, the question that you have raised, that I mean, at the back end between the lines, that how is it that 8 votes got, invalidated?
Yeah.
Because that is the arithmetic. Otherwise, they would have won. And the question that has been raised by Aam Aadmi Party, ऐसा थोड़ी होता है कि 8 votes invalid हो जाएं. The people are not, so naive that this should happen. I think that is primarily the question to my mind that you are asking me. Am I right?
I'm basically saying that if those 8 votes had not been cancelled, your candidate would not have won. And the opposition's allegation is that the presiding officer who cancelled the 8 votes is a member of the Chandigarh BJP minority cell. So he's not a neutral official.
So let's go by the act first. I think it's important that the viewers should know that all this gibberish that is being talked about now. 1, the act says that the presiding officer shall be one from among the councillors. So he is one among the councillors. So, and unless you are going to have some divine help that, it is pure, very pure, unaligned person of some kind. So here is a person who's a nominated person. He is a councillor. And the second requirement in the act is that the person who's going to be the presiding officer should not be contesting the election. Mr. Masih was not contesting the election. That is 1. 2, he was already there. When they went to the court the first time, the court said, okay, Mr. Masih will continue. They were well within their rights to say, no, we don't want this. So to come back today and forever, hold up a victim card, have it ready behind you. The moment something will happen, we'll raise a victim card. So it was all there. I mean, why are you coming out with it today and saying, why was Mr. Masih? Were you not aware of who Mr. Masih was? He was very much a part of the cooperation with you for so long. So what are you talking about?
So you're saying only the defeat has made the opposition question the terms. The terms were clear to all. The presiding officer is always one among the councillors, so he or she will have a political link.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's take that to Dr. Rastogi. Dr. Rastogi, the point is that the High Court has declined to put a stay. We believe your party is now approaching the Supreme Court, but it's a setback for you that the High Court did not immediately stay it. Dr. Tayal has a point. It's not that you've just woken up and discovered that the presiding officer is linked to the BJP. You obviously miscalculated what might happen. Do go ahead and respond. What's at stake here?
So, Barkha, there is an order even in a random situation. Everything doesn't happen just like so haywire. So, what my question is that if we knew who Mr. Masih is, like he's a member, he's a councillor, we didn't know to what extent the moral depravity will affect him so that he will invalidate only the votes of Aam Aadmi Party and Congress. I mean, this is too much of a coincidence. Another thing is that why were we not made to examine those, rejected votes? Why were the press kept at a bay? Why were the 2 election agents not allowed to come? And how come the councillors are educated? They're not kids. They are not blind. They know the procedure. It's not rocket science. How can only the Aam Aadmi Party and Congress councillors have kind of, made silly mistakes and their paper is rejected? I mean, this is too much of a randomness that bothers my mind. It is a clear case of daylight robbery. You say whatever it is, our moral compass has kind of been shifted to that extent that our appetite is increased. We are saying it's okay. We are not crying foul. The entire nation is crying foul because it is a prototype of what is going to come in next 6 months.
So let me take this to Shubhrashta actually. The fact is that a mayor's election, Shubhrashta, rarely gets noticed. But the opposition is making the argument, as you just heard the AAP leader say, this is daylight robbery and our moral compass has shifted. And indeed, looking at the video, there does seem to be a kind of contentious dimension to the fact that 8 votes get cancelled. If anything, it actually makes you long for the electronic voting machine where no vote can actually be invalidated. And that's something for the opposition to think about that is often challenged the neutrality of the EVMs. When you look at what's happening in Punjab, one thing I want to ask you is what many people are saying is look at this all-powerful BJP, set and projected and forecast to be hitting a landslide victory in 2024. Why does it have to sort of so assertively, contentiously, with controversy attached to it, with people saying daylight robbery, get involved in this manner in a mayor's election?
Barkha, let me make it very clear. I don't think any political party is out there to humor the allegations of the opposition. The opposition may continue to call BJP whatever they want to. They may call them bloodhounds or whatever they want to. I don't think BJP is under any obligation to listen to any moral lecture, especially from Aam Aadmi Party. That's the last person, I think, that's the last party that one should be really taking moral lessons from. Now,
Mhm.
what happened in Chandigarh? And your question you're asking is why has it made to the national, narrative? I think kudos to Aam Aadmi Party and Congress. I think despite being in opposition, they have really managed to make this a national issue. The question, the rants that they are, showing in press conferences and on social media and on media channels are rants that they should ask themselves. The question that Miss Rastogi, for example, that she asked, that how come only AAP and Congress members make mistakes? Well, go and ask them. Go and ask
Mm.
those 8 members. Nobody's asking you not to. These are comments for internal discussion. Why is it even making to the national mainstream? Now, there is another allegation being made. Press was kept at bay. Barkha, let
Mhm.
me ask you, was Mojo story there and were you asked not to just sort of cover it? Were
No,
you
I mean,
asked not?
it's the video that a journalist from Punjab, Gagandeep Singh, first actually put on Twitter that led to this whole discussion.
So Barkha, then another allegation can come that that gentleman from the press can have some link to the Aam Aadmi Party as well. Since we are making so many wild allegations and wild
Yeah.
theories, then that theory can very well float around. Look, Barkha, we all understand that in a democratic setup like India, there will, and not just India, anywhere for that matter, when systems are in place, there are procedural lapses. There are also places where you can tinker with procedures. But that's the reason why democracy exists, and that's the reason why democracy would survive. Also, sometimes you have to sort of look the
What
other
do
way
you
and
what do
also
you what do you mean by tinker with procedure and look the other way? What do you mean by that?
No, for example, we all remember the famous CP Joshi case. He lost the election by 1 vote. Now we
Mhm.
all know how that would have happened. There is nothing left to imagination. We all know that if that one person would have gone out and voted, CP Joshi would have won. Now, if I were to say that the one person who did not vote was actually held hostage by the opposition to not vote, I mean, that very well can be a theory. This is where I'm talking about procedural lapses. This is where
Mm.
I'm talking about there will always be, what I'm trying to say is there will always be loopholes that the opposition or anybody in power can manipulate.
So
This
in
is
many
the
ways, you're saying that to be pious about what has happened is naive, because in so many other instances, whether it's people falling ill at the last moment, whether conversely it's people showing up in wheelchairs to vote, this is realpolitik, effectively.
absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay, Chandar, is it realpolitik? Is it the ruthlessness of a Darwinian world, survival of the fittest? Politicians do what they need to. All sides do what they need to. Mr. Kejriwal, the BJP argues, has tactically, for example, taken a position to not show up for the summons by the enforcement director. It's a political position he's taken. Nobody really believes that each time he was too busy to attend. Shubhasta's argument is this is realpolitik. Deal with it.
Yes, certainly it is realpolitik, but at the same time, it's very undemocratic. So when we look, I mean, is it acceptable in a democracy like ours, which we claim is one of the most successful and one of the best democracies that we have in the world today, and to have these kind of things, which quite clearly show that our democracy somewhere or the other is getting eroded. Now that's one. The other thing I wanted to point out is. there is great dismay even amongst the Chandigarh residents at how this whole thing has unfolded, and people are really talking about people that the presiding officer should be suspended, or that the court should declare the election as null and void, etc. That's the line which the residents of Chandigarh are taking, and there is great anger on amongst them. Now, but the question which no one seems to be addressing is, who are these 8 councillors, and is there not a question mark on them? What was the reason why their ballot was invalidated? Uh, yes, the presiding officer did not allow anyone to scrutinize their ballot, and nor did they make it public what were their names, what was the reason why they were invalidated. All that is under a curtain. It's all opaque. Possibly, if there was some transparency and this had been shown or at least made public, then possibly all this may not have happened. But a certain amount of introspection needs to be done by the India Alliance to figure out why these 8 ballot papers were invalidated. Because for the BJP now, when you say that what was so important about one mayor's election,
Yeah.
where the BJP is looking as if it's going to win the coming general election, it's looking so powerful and so strong. Now, I personally feel that this was the first election where the India Alliance was pitted against the BJP. The first time that this was happening, and as the BJP has won this election, they would probably tom it across the nation, saying that, see, we have defeated the India Alliance even in Chandigarh, one of the
Right.
most important cities. Whereas the people in the rest of the country won't know the nitty gritty of how
But
how
let's
this mayor got elected. You know,
let's pick up the
uh,
last part of let's pick